little bit of a late start here because I decided to get back into bed this morning instead of getting up at the crack of dawn, which, you know what? I don't mind getting a little extra sleep, but I always feel like I get cheated. like I'm missing some of the hours that I like to get work done. Anyway, so here's the deal. Yesterday I went over to Home Depot and picked up the stuff that I'm going to be needing for putting the screws into these tracks with the new strips. And anyway, first thing I went for when I got there was the Gorilla Glue. This is polyurethane glue, and I have done a lot of reading about this, and this stuff is supposed to be super, super heavy duty in terms of what it accomplishes, and unique. I had never heard of this kind of glue. Well, I'd heard of Gorilla Glue. I hadn't studied the whole idea of polyurethane glue until, I don't know, back when I was thinking about doing this project, I guess. And but this is cool stuff. In the first place, you got to get it right down to bare wood when you're going to be gluing. Secondly, when you get it down to bare wood, you've got to completely clean it. And I'm going to be using. That's the other thing. I was just trying to remember all the stuff I bought yesterday. This is the other thing I bought. I went and got my acetone. Like I said, I've got a can of this down on the Cape, but I didn't have one up here. So anyway, went and bought acetone. And so you're going to wipe that whole area down with acetone. Then I'm going to be gluing up those strips that are going to be going on the side of the track. And after it's been cleaned down to bare wood and teak, and then wiped down with acetone, next thing to do is let it dry. But then just before you do it, you wet that surface and you put the glue on. Now listen, I'm gonna tell you, read the instructions, don't take my word for it, but from what I remember of what I studied about this, you wet the surface first, then you put your glue on, and then you connect the two of them and clamp it and leave it. And the beauty of it is that it's that wetting of the surface that activates the glue. And once you wet that surface and put the glue on and clamp it, boy, it's good to go. I mean, supposedly this is just really a powerful, powerful glue. Well, look, this is on the tracks. They're well above the water line. It's not like they're going to be getting constantly seawater wet. But at the same time, it's supposed to be pretty much a waterproof glue from what I understand. So I'm not going to be worried about this. It's not only going to be clamped, but it's going to be screwed. I went and picked up the screws also. I've got 3/4 inch flathead screws that are going to go down into the... that's it. Drop it, Randy. They're going to be going down into the wood. I'm going to relieve the strips so that they go right down into the wood, and then that 1/2 inch should be fine. By the way, I did think ahead, and you need to do this. Whatever you're going to be doing screws, I know you guys know this. You don't need me telling you this. Always make sure you know how deep you can go, or how deep the wood is that you're going into. Obviously, you don't want screws, or for that matter, your drilling right on through what you're trying to put screws down into. So just always be real careful of that. And when I get ready to do this, I'm going to put a piece of tape around the drill bit at the 3/4 inch mark, so that I know not to go any deeper than that. Because I know I've got at least 1 inch of thickness right there in those tracks where the screws are going in. All right, guys. And by the way, the screws are only going in about 1/2 inch, because a quarter of an inch is going to be taken up with the thickness of the strips themselves. That's it, guys. We're going to get to work. Well, they're done. One last word on this. Anytime you're getting close to the end of a piece, be really, really careful. Make sure you get that screw relieved very adequately, because if it's gonna split anywhere, it'll split on an end. You have less wood around it to absorb the shock of the screw going down into it, and it'll find its way out. Anyway, but I got this one. I had this real thing down to a system by the time I got all these screws done. I just, do the 5/16 and down to a quarter and ream it out with my pocket knife. And anyway, after that very first one, once I got into the system, I pretty much had it down to a science, and they all got done very adequately without any splitting or even trying to split. So that works. That's what we got done so far. Both port and starboard tracks have been completely stripped, or actually scraped, of all the CTOL where the guide strips are going to be going. And these guide strips have all been prepped. I need to do a little sanding on them, but basically they're ready to go. Rounded the ends on them like I said I was going to do. But anyway, the second thing I did with this, on this area where you see the all the CTOL has been taken off, I also went over it with acetone and got all the residuals off. And I'll do that one more time before we do the final gluing and screwing of the guide strips. Okay, we're getting ready to do the glue up on the pieces that are going to go on our track here, and the guide pieces, or whatever we want to call them. First thing we're going to do is acetone this wood. Being teak is considered an oily wood, although this is 50 years old. So I don't know how much oil is literally left in it, but first thing to do is go over all the gluing surface with acetone. Yeah, good old strong acetone smell right there. Okay. Now, you'll let that dry for just a minute. Meanwhile, what I have here is a paper towel really wetted down. This is for just before I do the gluing. The next thing needs to happen is make sure that we've got the correct piece. This is, let's see, this is port, and no, that's not the one we're looking for. This track is starboard, and starboard. There, okay, there's the starboard piece. I'm using the port piece to hold this up level while we're doing the gluing. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is put our glue, our Gorilla Glue, polyurethane glue, on one surface. Do not use it on two surfaces, on one surface. And that's to avoid heavy squeeze out. You do not want to have squeeze out. And the cleanup on this is not like it is with most things where you take a wet rag and try to clean it up. With polyurethane glue, you let it go ahead and dry. That you definitely want to minimize the amount that you get for squeeze out, but you let it go ahead and dry, and then it very easily just cuts right off. It's just like it becomes hard and crusty almost, whatever. I don't know how to say it. So, okay, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and do the glue up. I've never done this before. I just watched it several times on YouTube. We're going to go ahead and begin one line of polyurethane glue all the way down through. I may take a brush and spread this a little bit. See, the beauty is, since it's wet activated, you can go ahead and spread it without it setting up on you. It's not gonna set up on you until it comes in contact with the wetted surface, and that's what we're gonna do right here in just a minute. We're gonna make that a wetted surface. But what I've got here is a brush, one of my art brushes. I hope it doesn't ruin it. I'm just gonna I'm kind of taking my time here. I'm not worried about it because, like I said, it's not going to come in contact with wet until it goes onto the surface it's going to be adhering to. And this is working very nicely. Like I said, I hope my brush isn't ruined by this. I'll figure it out later. You know, let's buy another brush. This is one of my art brushes. Beautiful. Almost done. All right, that's it. I don't know if you can see this, but that is very nicely wetted. Very nicely wetted. Yeah, so next thing, you guys, I'm nervous because I haven't done this, but I have a nice wet paper towel. I'm going to just go all over this like one time, all the way down through this with a nice damp paper towel, wet paper towel actually, and that wets that whole surface all the way down. That's what you need. Now we are ready. And I've got clamps standing by. Oh, I need to get screws for placement. Screws, quickly, quickly. It's one thing I didn't quickly do. Screwdriver. On this end, it should be perfect alignment. Perfect alignment. Yep, perfect alignment. As soon as I get these 3 alignment screws in place, I'm going to go ahead and get the clamps on. So that's already we're already set right there. Alright, now that that's done, we can go ahead and tighten these screws down without fear. And I'm not seeing that foaming thing. I don't know if I put it on too light or what, but I'm not seeing the foaming. Well, the name of the game is, if it's working at all, it's going to have all these screws holding it in place anyway. The beauty of getting your alignment screws in is they are actually pre-drilling all your holes and getting your alignment screws in. You know it's sitting exactly where it needs to be, and when it comes to your doing the job it's supposed to do of keeping the hatches sliding straight back, not allowing them to dip or drag. Now obviously I could be doing this with a drill, but I choose not to, especially when you're snugging things down into wood like this where it's very straight grain. And I proved out that this wood will split. I mean, I've seen it start I didn't ever let it go all the way, but I saw it that because it is so straight grain, it will split. And see, by doing this, I can feel just how tight it is. I can measure that perfectly and not go beyond to the point where it starts to split. Okay, guys, so you get the idea. We're pretty much there. One more screw to tighten down on this end, and we're good. Then after this, everything's already been sanded out, and this will be ready for one more thing before we go to putting fresh Cetol on it. And that one more thing is some sort of wood filler to go in behind this gap where the original track was all worn away and dipped out. I want to put a filler in behind that. I don't need to, but I want to. And so that's one more thing, and that's not going to be done tonight. I want to just get these guides glued and screwed into place for tonight. That'll be it. Okay, we're done. All right, guys. Like I said, I didn't see any of this foaming. There may have been some. Oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Look at that. It is. I was kind of worried for a minute there. No, it's definitely foaming. I can see it down in the track here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, we're good. We're good. About poor man's resin for a while. Understand you can use epoxy resin or fiberglass resin. Obviously, epoxy resin is better. I've used a whole lot of fiberglass resin on this boat, and it works for me. It's cheaper. You're not paying, let's say, West Systems prices. You can buy this for $15 at any Home Depot or Lowe's for that matter, and it gets a whole lot of work done. Now, what the deal is, I only mix this in small batches. I mean, nothing I do has been extravagant or having to use large. So what I do, I mix in 1 or 2 ounce batches, and I make up these little cups. You can buy these at Walmart for super cheap, whole bag of them. Okay, and I carefully with a measuring cup mark off 1 and 2 ounces. With 1 and 2 ounces marked on the side of the magic marker, I use this as a master cup. And hang on, okay, let me see if I can get one of these other ones lined up. Okay, here's a perfectly clear one. I put the master cup inside of the clear one. I just take my magic marker and mark the new one. And I mark a whole bunch of them. And I keep all these little measuring cups together for 1 and 2 ounce measures, and man, you can do a whole bunch of them in a short time. Just buy a bag of these little clear plastic cups, and you're only going to do it for one application anyway. But I tell you what, it works for me. I just, nice magic marker, and very carefully, mark it, 1 and 2 ounces. And then when you do 1 ounce, it's 10 drops of the hardener. Where's my hardener? 10 drops of the hardener. For 2 ounce, it's 20 drops of the hardener. And I'll tell you, like I said, you can get a whole lot of work done with this stuff, and it works great. I don't have any problem with it. There's going to be a lot of guys who like to go with West Systems and everything. If you're doing big projects where you're having to cover a lot of area, absolutely that's the way to go. But for my little projects, like what I'm working on right now with this repair right here, this stuff works fantastic. You see, I've already got a whole bunch of little sections of chopped strand cut out and ready to go into that space as soon as I get my resin mixed up. 1 ounce of resin measured out here, and I just punctured the top of my hardener tube here. One little drop dot there to be able to squeeze it through. I'm going to do 10 drops in here. But before I do this, I'm going to go ahead and put my rubber gloves on. The other thing, when you're using this stuff, if you use this stuff, and I don't know, you guys may all be West System, whatever. But if you use this stuff, always keep a cup on hand so that you can leave your hardener standing up. Otherwise, if you're in the heat of trying to get things done, you're going to lay that down and you're going to lose all. It's going to be all over the ground. Or you're going to step on it or whatever. Just make sure you put it in a cup until you're done putting your 10 drops in, then cap it, and then move on with the project. Okay, let me go ahead and get this started. I'll be back with you in just a minute. Get off of there. What I'm trying to do is pack that notch and get enough resin in it to be able to give it some body, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it all at once. So it's going to be too much. It's getting there. It's getting there. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that. Use a little bit more resin in here, just really make it a lot mixed in with all that chopped strand. And we're going to walk away and just let it go right there. Alright, well, I wasted a whole bunch of resin even with 1 ounce. So, it's, you know, you can never get it just right, especially when you're doing little bitty jobs like this. It's, you gotta just use what you can, and then the rest is just going to harden up and go solid on you. And that's fine. I've done more than a few of those. Okay, that's it. That's as much as we're going to do right there. That's a lot of chopped strand I managed to get in there. And we're going to let it go. Alright. It's a good start. We'll let that harden up, probably overnight. Alright, there it is. That's the first shot. And, we'll, like I said, we'll just let it harden up overnight. And we'll come along tomorrow and cut off this excess right here. And then we'll work it from the other side. And we'll probably do one more batch on this side just to build up the thickness. But then we'll go to the other side and do some of that over there too. So, all right. First shot at trying to fix this little notch in my hatch cover. Let me just show you what I got done as far as the fiberglass work I did the other night. This is all filled up. It's good and solid, but we're not done. There's still some divots in here and so forth that are going to be filled up. And I'm going to be putting a piece that's going to wrap over from the inside to the outside and come around here. And it's all going to get sanded out and painted and so on and so forth. But you can see it's pretty solid. And, yeah, we'll get this done up. Well, guys, it's done. The notch that was there is all gone. All fiberglassed up, cleaned up, and ready for some paint. So we're going to start the final process on these hatch covers. Going to go this morning and pick up some spray paint for the inside. I'm not going to use the top side paint that I've got for the outside. That's, you know, strictly for the deck stuff and all that kind of thing. But for the inside, yeah, I don't think it needs it. And if you look at the insides of these, they are really very crude. And this is after they've been cleaned. And I just think the best way to get those really looking good is to spray paint them, because the spray is going to get it down into all those little pores. This hatch cover, both these hatch covers were very roughly laid up. You can tell just by looking at it. And anyway, but that's all going to get sprayed, and it may not be the smoothest in the world, but it certainly is going to be nice and white, and it'll reflect very well on the interior of the cabin. So anyway, kind of cool. All right, there's the outside of that, and boy, it came out really good, I think. All right, it's smooth as, but it's ironic because it's coming off this rugged, rough interior. That's the smoothest part of the whole underside of the hatch right there. It's just smooth as butter because of all the sanding and working I did with the new fiberglass. All right, that's it. Just wanted you to see it. Guys, that's it for this episode of Restoring Little Girl. I just ran out of space on this one. We got a lot more in the finish-up episode that'll be coming out right after this. And as a matter of fact, I've already got most of it filmed. For instance, I've already got the tracks down to just one coat I'm lacking of having all the CTOL done on them. And we'll get the hatch covers painted. Maybe do some fiberglass work on the hatch covers as well on those edges. But in the meantime, listen, thanks for stopping by Restoring Little Girl, and we'll catch you the next time around. It's, you know, when you're right in the middle of everything, it's hard to just know where to stop, and we've got to call this one a halt, and we'll catch you on the next one and get you all caught up in everything that we've finished up. Okay? Hey, thanks a lot.